Diversity, equity, inclusion is dying around the world. And what do the dolls need to do next? Move on, level up, be excellent. Those are the only answers that exist to that question. What do the dolls do next? Move on. This is not the hill to die on. DEI is not the hill to die on. I forgot to say, welcome back to the Dollhouse. I am the doll, and today we are going to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, the change in the political climate, and how to handle it, what to do, the outlook for the future. So-called Black women in America are being forced to deal with the changes that have come down as a result of the election. And it's been hard for some of the dolls to adapt. I've heard a lot of people complaining. And it's time to move past some of the assumptions that you have about yourself and your opinions. And one of the things to move past is thinking that your opinion influences your life as much as other people's opinions can. There's external and internal influence on the world and how we experience it. And your opinion about how things should be doesn't mean that's how things actually are. And sometimes one's ego might get in the way and prevent them from hearing other people. And I do see that some of the dolls who are very loud, politically loud, would benefit from recognizing that it's good to listen first and then speak later, if at all, especially in certain realms of discussion like politics, religion, money, impolite conversation. I mean, it used to be commonly known that those topics were to be avoided. In order to social climb, or until you reach the pinnacle of where you feel that you should be politically or professionally or socially, it's better to just keep some of your opinions to yourself and learn to adapt. Being adaptive is highly marketable. And that's what, if you don't believe that this world that we live in is one where you have to give value and demonstrate value and be marketable, then you are in for a rude awakening, especially in this new day and age. Baby, it's a new day. And I'm going to discuss more about DEI and why it's just time to put it down. And I am going to play part of a lecture given by Professor Glenn Laurie, Dr. Glenn Laurie, professor at Brown. He's speaking at Bucknell University to the crowd about DEI. He is a professor who is American, a descendant of formerly enslaved people, and he makes some great points. And I think the dolls need to hear it.
You decide. You want representation or you want equality? You want titular representation? You want a cover story or you want equality? Are you interested in developing the human potential of the African American population? Or are you merely interested in covering your ass by being able to present an optics that shows that you're a diverse and inclusive institution? Baking into the cake the practice of treating Blacks specially in virtue of their Blackness, people born in the year 2005 is not equality.
So what he's saying here is telling people born in the year 2005, long after the struggle for civil rights is ended, telling them that they are owed something by virtue of being Black, so-called Black. Even if they just moved here from a different continent, by virtue of being Black in America, they need some special assistance to progress, to make progress in American society. That is not a smart thing to do. Telling someone that they are at a disadvantage because of the way they look is diabolical. I hope that you're not raising your kids and telling them, looking them in their face and telling them that the world is against them. Do you realize that you are what you speak? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, or whatever. Listen, I haven't been a Christian, and I am still a Christian. I'm the most non-Christian and Christian, but I do remember that. I believe is John verse 1, something like that. In the beginning was the Word. What you say ripples out and creates the reality that you experience. So saying that you are disadvantaged as a browner woman or ethnicity is very damaging. So let's continue to hear what Dr. Lori has to say.
I'm a college professor. We're on a college campus. So the question of affirmative action in higher education is a natural one to contemplate. I'm not sure what goes on here, but at Brown, we get over 35,000 applications a year, and we admit about 1,800 people. That's a pretty selective operation that we're engaged in. We're an elite institution. Average SAT score is, I'm sure it's over 1,400, combined math and verbal. It's an elite enterprise. Do we really want to build into our policy going forward forever the idea that Blacks simply can't be judged by the same standard with respect to this kind of undertaking? If indeed it's the case that African-American applicants to a place like Brown University are on the whole not competitive, the numbers would be 3% or 4% instead of 12% or 13% if you did not take race into account when you made the decision about whom to admit. If indeed that's the case, do you think that you're going to get to equality by institutionalizing the practice of lowering the bar?
That is the deceptive, insidious part of DEI that people do not realize handicaps them. People who have access to spaces because the standards are lowered diminish the excellence of the overall organization and typically struggle to keep up. They can't really meet the requirements. And if we were inherently unable to compete, as he said, we wouldn't be represented in these organizations at all. But when there are no such standards, no such lowering of standards, we're still there in proportion to how we are represented in the population. So do we really need it? I'm going to let him continue.
Oh, she's Black. She's got an 1150, but that's okay. She's Black. Do you really think that that's going to get you to equality? It is not. As a remedial enterprise undertaken in a transitional way with the intent of directly addressing historical inequity and trying to get on a different track than what had been, say the year is 1975, okay, I can see that. As a permanent practice, as the way of doing business, as in effect, compensatory endowment to people of color, so that they can be represented in numbers that don't actually reveal the disparity in their performances. It's a lot of things, but it's not equality. it leads to a lot of things that are not healthy, like patronization. Oh, we don't really expect the soft bigotry, low expectations. We don't really expect our African American students are presumptively disadvantaged. Think about that.
The soft bigotry of low expectations. Oh, we know Sharquisha, she's probably not gonna be able to do much, but we can just stick her over here. And you know, as long as she's here, she's getting counted. But we can't expect much. That's not a place that I want to be in. And I've actually experienced the energy of being thought of as a diversity hire, as a financial advisor. I worked at a very prestigious, well-known organization, and a few of the people who started with me believed that I was there because I was Black and I was a woman. And it could be true. And I doubt it, because they believed that I could sell things. They wanted me to hunt down clients and give them financial advice. And that's the nature of the job. They believed that I could do it after 6 rounds of interviews. I'm pretty much won that position fair and square. I didn't last long there because I was not a good fit. I moved to a different company, also very prestigious, but still perceived as someone who added value, which is very different from how I was perceived at the other organization, where they believed that I was there because I happened to be Black and they just needed to fill a quota. It was really a different feeling than being patronized and being looked down upon. So no one likes to feel that. And, having to show that you are excellent and then surprising people when you show up and are. Yeah, that's nice, but if people don't expect a lot from you, you can be rewarded less, because you won't have the opportunities to work on larger projects or be trusted to partner. It can really work against you.
You're Black and you're presumptively disadvantaged in virtue of being Black? We need diversity. We need representation. Oh, I see. Now the African Americans who are included in this rat race competition to get into these places. Everybody in this room knows what I'm talking about. You apply to 20 colleges because you don't know whether you're going to get into one of them or not. We create a world in which the presence of African Americans is justified because they leaven the mix, because they bring some color to the table. It's a lot of things, but it's not equality. So what I've been saying of late about this question is, okay, you want to do affirmative action, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to fall on my sword about it. Me personally, I'm not going to throw a fit. No, it's not the same thing as racial discrimination against Blacks in the history and so forth and so on. You go ahead and do it if you want to do it. But if you really want equality, you wouldn't be satisfied with that. If you really want equality, you would address yourself to the foundational root of why it is that African Americans as a population are underrepresented at the right tail of the distribution of intellectual and academic performance. Unless you do that, unless you change that foundational root, you'll never get equality. So you decide. You want representation or you want equality? You want titular representation? You want a cover story? Or you want equality? Are you interested in developing the human potential of the African American population? Or are you merely interested in covering your ass by being able to present an optics that shows that you're a diverse and inclusive institution. Okay? So no, I'm not against affirmative action, but I'm against hypocrisy. I'm against condescension. Okay, and I'm asking people to imagine what kind of country we're going to be in. Really? We're going to do this for another 30 years? We're going to do this for another 50 years? This is where we're going to be? It's, in my mind, unacceptable vision for our country, that we're going to depend upon treating Black people differently because everybody knows they can't cut it. Unacceptable.
Well, you know, I feel like I know that I can cut it, and I enjoy being welcomed by clients and in the spaces because they believe that I have something to offer and they are willing to pay me to give it to them. That is the world. That is energy, how the laws of the universe work. What you give is what you receive. I mean, if you haven't been taught that in this modern day and age, I'm not surprised because, you know, some of these more common sense phrases like what you give and what you get in the golden rule, they're not really being covered. So that's why people come here, and hopefully we can start to understand that you are not a daughter of the struggle. You are the creator of your own destiny. So just identifying with DEI and complaining about it, not adapting to life in the year 2025, the year of the coin, it will put you at a disadvantage. And we are here to build a better way of being and create a new lane and an environment that nurtures our families, makes our communities stronger, and makes the nation that we belong to and have ownership in to make that stronger. And see, some of the dolls don't feel like they have ownership and belong here in the United States of America, and do represent excellence and can be even better. And it's time to change that way of thinking. So I appreciate you for joining me here today, and we'll be talking soon, y'all.